Good day to all you hockey fans out there. It is January 28th, and you are listening to the one, the only Talking Puck podcast. I am Sean Coles, joined as always by my co-host Ryan Lake, and we'll start off the week as we normally do with just kind of talking about the Canadian teams and how they're doing lately, and we'll start off as normal with the Toronto Maple Leafs, who, they're sitting with the record of 23-15-9. Which, considering that they came in 30th place last year, that's pretty damn good.
Surprisingly, especially with the youth, the kind of no expectations really.
Like 9 rookies in the lineup, they're doing pretty damn well.
Now, mind you, as well as they're doing, they're still only like 5 or 6 points out of like the last place in the Eastern Conference too.
Yes, because the Eastern Conference is surprisingly tight this year. And that doesn't happen very often.
No, it's usually the West that's like. You miss the playoffs with like 89 or 90 points. In the East, you're like 4th seed.
Yeah, and it's surprising. They had a half decent week. They had 2 straight shutouts, which apparently was the first time anyone had done that in back-to-back games since like Ben Scrivens in 2013.
I guess that's not really much of a record.
No, it's not much of a record. But they were having a half decent week without Morgan Rielly, who is essentially their number one defenseman, even though he's probably technically not a number one defenseman. But they're still playing pretty well, which is surprising.
Well, I mean, when Pollock scores...
Hey, you know what? He's got a half-decent shot. He just doesn't use it.
Yeah, he doesn't really use much of anything.
And as much as I hate the Hunlack pairing of Matt Hunwick and Roman Pollock, because they are just awful on 5-on-5.
They don't seem like they have very much chemistry.
It's not that they have no chemistry. It's that they can't pass the puck out of their own zone, which is why they normally end up playing with the Bozak, Marner, and JVR line, because Marner carries the puck out. But what's interesting about them is their shot suppression for either 5-on-5. They're hemmed in their own zone, but they're not allowing a ton of shots.
They're keeping it to the outside.
And same with their penalty kill. They are key to the Leafs' top 5 penalty kill, which is shocking that the Leafs have a top 5 penalty kill. I can't remember that in my lifetime. The last time they were that good at special teams. But they lost against the Flyers on Thursday night, and apparently I was the one game I didn't watch this week, although it's because it's blacked out and I watch it online, whatever, pisses me off. But the Leafs had positive possession in the first 2 periods, and then 27% Corsi for the third period. They went off a cliff.
I don't know. I didn't see the first 2 periods, but when I got home from work, I caught the last 4 minutes of the third period, and Philly was just all over them. And then finally they scored the winning goal, but Toronto couldn't even breathe without the puck or the Philly defenders all over them. It was insane watching the last few minutes, but
and that was a crucial loss too, because the Leafs and the Flyers are right tight against each other in the standings. So that's a team that the Leafs need to beat. But moving along to a team that is not having such a trouble getting a playoff spot, but that's because the rest of their division is crap, is the Montreal Canadiens, who, they had an okay week. It was very much a 500 week, but they have not been playing well lately. Yeah,
they've had a lot of injuries, guys going up and down. There's no consistency with the lineups, because if you actually look, one game you have 3 guys that have played the last game, then the next game they're all split up because one's injured, and Galchenyuk came back, then he left because he was hurt again. So,
and is that a pattern? Maybe that maybe Therrien's rushing him back a bit because they have that because he's got that expectation with the players. Honestly, I've never been a big Michel Therrien fan. I've always thought that they need to move on and get another coach, but they're always so set on it being a French coach or a French-speaking coach.
And I'm as much as I'm a Colorado fan, but if I were to go with a Canadian team for a fan, I'd probably say Montreal would be my team. My dad grew up a Montreal fan, so...
Boo.
But I have a feeling that if they didn't rely on French or French-speaking coaches, they would have probably won at least 1, if not 2 cups since '93.
I believe it, because they had some really good teams in the early 2000s.
And they just didn't have the greatest coaching.
Yeah, and they also traditionally had a reliance on French-Canadian players, too. Not so much these days, but I feel like part of it is still going back to, A, their reliance on Carey Price, who has not been that great, but I happened to be listening to Andrew Berkshire this morning, and last year, at their worst, Montreal was having about 15 scoring chances a game against them. That's been ratcheted up to like 25 or 26 a game.
Yes.
So there's only so much Carey Price can do. Now, again, he hasn't been his lights out self, and whether or not he's tired, whatever it may be. Hopefully, he can maybe get a little bit of rest this weekend,
right?
Or if I don't know if they've had their 5-day break yet, but
I'm not sure.
If they haven't had it yet, hopefully he can get some rest then. But also, I think it goes back to the trade of PK Subban for Shea Weber. Shea Weber is not a bad defenseman, but A, he's not a number one defenseman anymore. He was, but he's not anymore. And B, he doesn't score 5-on-5.
Yeah, he does limit the opportunities for the other team more than PK does.
Yes, that is true. That is the trade-off for that. But again, you're taking out a fair amount of your scoring.
Right. And actually, it was funny because the other day he scored a goal, and Shaw was in front of the net, and he's been hurting everyone with a slap shot lately. And Shaw dove head first, and he saw that Weber was winding up, and Shaw just put his gloves over his face, and he was just laying on the ice, just covering his face, and Weber ended up scoring. It was against the Islanders, actually, but yeah, he doesn't score much on 5-on-5. I mean, he's a solid presence, but it's really, I do think it comes down to the coaching. And I think the only reason the coaching that is doing well is, I can't remember the assistant coach who also runs the power play. He is killing it.
Yeah, I know who it is, and
the name I can't
blanking on it right now. I'm just blanking on it. But and interesting that you say it comes down to coaching a bit, because they pair Shea Weber with Alexei Emelin. And first off, I hate him.
He's a dirty player.
He is, absolutely. But he should be paired with a more puck moving defenseman, which is not Alexei Emelin. He's maybe not the worst, but he'd probably do better paired with Nathan Boyou, but they don't trust him playing with Nathan Boyou. Yeah. So it's like, you know what? You maybe gotta do what you have with PK Subban, where you want to play too safe, and with having that little bit of, with taking that little bit of extra risk, if you've got a solid presence at the back like Shea Weber and Carey Price, you might be able to take a little more license there.
Stretch the game out a little more.
Yeah, exactly. And also get that key first pass out of the zone. That's what it's all about these days, is the first pass.
Too many teams you see nowadays, the first pass are going sideways or backwards. You need to go forward. Absolutely.
And that is something that the Leafs do okay, but you got to get speed through the neutral zone as well to pair that.
Otherwise, you just get trapped.
Exactly. And then at that point, it's like playing against the New Jersey Devils every night. But we're going to move it along to another kind of up and down team with the Ottawa Senators. And their record isn't bad, but you look at their games over the last couple of weeks, and they lose to teams that they should probably beat, and yet you get a game like this week where they shut out the Capitals.
Yeah.
Who are like a juggernaut in the league and probably should actually win the cup this year.
When you look at Ottawa, it seems like it's, whenever we go over this, it's win-loss, win-loss, win-loss,
Yeah.
win-win, loss-loss, win-loss, win-loss. So it's a very common trend with them that they seem to get a little bit of a streak going, but then they trend opposite and they get a losing streak, and then they win one, lose one. Seems like it's been like that for quite a while now.
Yeah, it's very odd with them, and I kind of hope they can figure it out, because it's always good when Ottawa and Montreal and the Leafs are all doing well, because you get some really good rivalries going, and it's great for the game for that. But at the same time, it's like you lose 7-6 to the Blue Jackets like they did, I think it was last Sunday. They were winning in that game, if I'm not mistaken.
They were winning.
Like, that's not good enough.
Especially not when you score 6 goals and still lose.
Yeah, exactly. And that's like, that just says that, your goaltending's not doing it, but then you go and shut out the Capitals your next game.
Yeah.
What the hell? But we're not going to dwell on them too much, just because there's not much to talk about with them. They're up and down. It's how they have been for a few weeks. Whatever. But another team that's been on more of a downward trend lately, as opposed to up, is the Winnipeg Jets, who are still sub 500 despite the fact that Laine's been back.
Yeah.
And this week wasn't that great for them. They had a rough week in the sense they were playing the Ducks, the Sharks, and the Hawks.
3 powerhouse teams.
Exactly. They managed to beat the Hawks, which is pretty impressive. 5-3.
Yeah.
But you're losing to the Sharks and the Ducks that you're capable. They've got a team that's capable of winning those, except for their goaltending.
We seem every week we say they're capable. They're capable.
They are capable,
but they never do it.
On paper, they are capable.
Well, Colorado on paper is capable of doing things that they're not doing.
Well, are they? Aside from their core players, they haven't been fleshed out. But anyways, getting back to the Jets, they're 23, 25, and 4, and they are quickly, and I mean quickly, coming to the point where either Kevin Cheveldayoff is going to have to make a trade for a goalie, and there are some available, or someone's getting fired.
Yeah, or both.
Or both.
I think someone somewhere in Winnipeg is pressing the oh shit button.
Yes, absolutely. And it's good. The trade deadline is going to be very telling for them because I think they will be buyers because of their goalie situation. They're not going to sell. Let's put it that way.
I don't see them selling. I don't see them doing too much buying either. I see them kind of mostly staying as is with maybe a couple additions, but nothing crazy.
Yeah. Again, unless it's a big move for a goalie. But honestly, they've got to make that move soon, or else I think after the trade deadline, Cheveldayoff may be gone.
Yeah.
Or Paul Maurice, one of the two. And I hope it's not Paul Maurice.
Well, they did say that Paul Maurice's job was safe.
Yeah, but they said that about Randy Carlyle. Sorry, the Leafs said that about Randy Carlyle. You could say the job is safe, but it's safe until it isn't. And that can change on a week-by-week basis.
Yeah, especially if you're Craig McTavish.
Yeah, exactly. But on to our next Canadian team that is once again trending in the wrong direction. We have got the Calgary Flames, who in the past couple of weeks have just been a dumpster fire.
They were good for like a month almost.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they can't stop anything. They're terrible. They can barely score. Well, they healthy scratch Sam Bennett.
Oh, man. Kadri's first goal on against Brian Elliott. Elliott needed to have that. It wasn't a bad shot, but it was from almost the outside of the circle.
Okay.
And he fires a wrister. It was a pretty strong wrister. It was a good shot, but Brian Elliott needs to have that. And they brought him in to stabilize things, and he hasn't. And Calgary is a team that spends way too much money on their back end to be allowing that many goals.
And for that much money, they're spending too much time in their own zone.
Exactly. And they've got some great puck-moving defensemen.
Oh, yeah.
TJ Brody, Dougie Hamilton, Mark Giordano. Those are just their top three, let alone the bottom three guys that can still do it. And yet they get shut out by the Leafs, and they didn't look remotely like putting up any sort of a fight.
They should have got shut out by the Canadians. They scored with 1 second left in the third period.
Oh, that's so bad. Poor Carey Price. But then they go out and win against the Senators, which was in overtime. But again, that was a comeback win.
Yeah, and I don't know what there's no rhyme to reason of what they're doing. They're not playing well. Then they get a win that they shouldn't, and I don't know.
Depending on how the rest of the season goes, I think if they miss the playoffs, and by the way, they're not out of the playoffs by much at this point because the West is just so weak. Honestly, I think that Mark Gullickson could be gone.
Yeah.
I think it's Mark Gullickson. It's Gullickson anyways.
Yeah, I believe so.
But he, just looking at him, the Leafs score a goal, and then he's hanging his head. And I'm just going, man, you're not sending the right body language to the rest of your team. You send that body language. You're setting the tone. Like, no wonder they've got no fight back. He doesn't look to have any passion whatsoever. Like, you go back to the Leafs because that's who I watch most often. someone scores against them, Babcock looks like he's going to punch someone in the face.
To be fair, he looks like that on a normal day.
Normally, yeah, that is true. But he doesn't hang his head, though. His head doesn't go down. He, as pissed as he is, he stares straight ahead.
He starts coaching and he starts talking to players.
Exactly. He gets them revved back up and tries to get them back into the game. So I don't know if that's maybe what their issue is, and if they just picked the wrong coach. And
it's like the French army.
And if they need to, that's a whole different issue. And maybe they need to make a coaching change at this point and get someone in. Again, there's Gerard Gallant, who, as far as I know, hasn't been rehired. He might actually be a really good fit there.
I mean, it's not like they don't have the personnel. Like, it's not like they don't have the players. It's not like it's a team where, they just suck and the players are all AHL players. They have quality players. They have
no confidence. And I think it's because their coach is not trying to build up their confidence.
Yeah, I agree.
And it's coming to a head for them because, again, that's a team that should be, they're battling for a playoff spot. They're not far off, but they should be in the conversation. They should not be getting blown out 7-3 by the Edmonton Oilers.
No.
The Oilers are not that good. They're riding high right now, but they're not so out of this world that they should be blowing you out 7-3.
No, not at all.
And actually, just a thought that I've had here for them, if they do ride out the season with Gulletson, I wonder if maybe they try to tempt Hitchcock.
Yeah.
Out of retirement, because he's supposed to retire after this year. Whatever. I don't think that's going to happen.
With the way St. Louis has been playing this year, I wouldn't.
Well, I think he is retiring because he doesn't want to stay in St. Louis
I think he's
anymore.
already retired at this point with the way they've been playing.
That was funny in the winter Road to the Winter Classic things when he's out on the ice. Hitch is a large guy.
Oh yeah,
right?
he's not skinny at all.
He's a big dude. He's got these sunglasses on. The players are making fun of him for the sunglasses. He's like, "Oh yeah, I bought them for $60 from Shoppers or something like that." He looked pretty funny though, all bundled up.
I love how when you see him when he's wearing like his track pants and he hasn't pulled up to like his nipples.
He's an older guy.
Yeah.
That's just how they dress.
Kind of looks like Humpty Dumpty.
And that's a little mean. That's a little on the mean side, but yes, he does. But anyway, speaking of the Edmonton Oilers, they had a really good week actually. Obviously, as we just mentioned, they blew out the Flames 7-3, but then they shut out the Ducks 4-0 and beat the Sharks 4-1. Those are two really good teams.
Really good Western Conference teams.
Yeah.
Big physical. Although the Ducks, like Corey Perry and Getzlaf, have not really been contributing much this year.
And I wonder if that's going to be a continuing trend because they're getting old.
Yeah.
Well, old as in the life of a hockey player. They're plus 30, and that's when you start to slow down.
Yeah. But Edmonton's been turning it on. The Cassian dangled through a whole team and scored the other day. I couldn't believe that.
It's just because their confidence is high right now. Honestly, when I think they take a hit at some point, that might not go very well.
Patrick Maroon looks like a sniper.
You know what? They're going to be in the playoffs at this point. Even if they go 500 the rest of the year, I think they're still going to be in the playoffs.
With how weak the West is, I don't see them slipping out of it unless they full on tank the rest of the year.
I just don't see them getting out of the second round at the most.
I don't. I see maybe a surprise first round win and then kind of lose it in the second. I don't see much more than that.
I would be very surprised if they made it to the conference final, but first off, I don't think they have the goaltending, and I don't think they've got the defense. They've got Connor McJesus, but
he can only do so much.
Yeah,
especially in the playoffs when everything is toned down, right?
Exactly.
More physical, less scoring.
And that's where teams like the Sharks and the Ducks are going to turn it on. They do have another level they can go to.
And it's weird that it takes the playoffs for that to show up, but it always does.
Well, and you know what? LA is a perfect example of that, right? Because when they won their first cup in, 2012, they snuck in with the 8th seed and then bulldozed through everyone.
Yeah, and they killed, that was New Jersey in the final, I'm pretty sure, that year. And their roster for the regular season was meh, but their roster was built for the playoffs.
Oh,
it was
absolutely.
a depth playoff push, 4 lines just banging it out.
And honestly, I hope that the Kings can get into the playoffs this year because I think they're sitting close enough if they're not in a playoff spot right now, and that's without Jonathan Quick.
And Peter Budaj has 5 shutouts this year, and he's only trailing or tied with one other guy, and that's Braden Holtby. for tops in the league.
That's crazy. That is crazy. But anyways, moving along to our 7th and final Canadian team, we have the dumpster fire that is the Vancouver Canucks, and yet this dumpster fire is not far out of a playoff spot. Who the hell would have guessed that?
Again, any other year where the West would have been as strong as it is, they probably would be far out of a playoff spot.
Yes.
But it's one of those years where pretty much anyone but Colorado and Arizona could make it in the West.
Yep, pretty much. Pretty much. And speaking of Colorado, that's the only team they beat this week.
Yep. And it was actually a really good game, but they scored with like 3 minutes left in the third period.
Ooh, that sucks.
It was
couldn't even get a point.
Hard to watch those games, but other than that, it was a pretty good game. But really, not much to say with Vancouver other than Bo Horvat took I don't know if it was a stick or a puck or what, but he had stitches all across the back of his head last week.
Ooh,
I sent you the picture.
Remember? Oh, yeah, that's right.
Gash,
that's right.
He's going to be in the AllStar Game tonight, but
yep, good. That's the only player that they have there, and that's because they have to have one from each team.
Yeah.
But we're glad to see that because he's their player of the future. Yep. He really is, and they should be giving him a bigger role this year. But that's a whole other issue. But you know what? The fact that they are not sub 500, I think, is very impressive.
Which is also going to be scary come trade deadline.
Oh, yeah, you just know Jim Benning's going to sell the future. He's going to end up trading like Ole Uelevi for just someone ridiculously bad.
Yeah.
Like for Chris Versteeg or something.
For a bag of pucks.
Yeah.
Although, speaking of the Canadian teams, I did hear one of the trade rumors was that Montreal was looking at, I don't know if it was one of those NHL trade rumor websites, but Montreal was looking at sending Sergachev, a second round pick, and one of their other defensemen. Was it not Beaulieu? One of their younger McCarron, one of their prospect forwards, to Colorado for Matt Duchene.
That is a stupid trade.
It would be a good trade for Colorado.
Very good trade
because Colorado needs the defense and the young youth. But
that would be one of the worst trades of all time. Honestly, there would be more uproar over that trade than there was over PK Subban.
Did you see that Montreal also got was it Nikita Nesterov?
Yeah, they got. I saw that. I was a little surprised by that, but I'm surprised and I'm not surprised because. Yeah, they probably needed a little more depth, but Tampa Bay's got to start offloading players.
Tampa didn't want it; they weren't going to give him the contract that he wants. So,
speaking of trades, though, what was it? Terry Wingles is his name, I think.
From San Jose.
Yeah, from San Jose, went to Ottawa.
Yep,
that's a good pickup for them. He's going to be a good player.
Yeah, especially from playing in San Jose, he probably put up some good numbers in Ottawa. So they are lacking some. Top scoring. That'll
probably give him a little more depth on probably the second or third line, I would assume. So it's a good pickup for them, and hopefully he does well and isn't a total bust. But anyways, you know what? We're going to move on from the Canadian teams, and so it's All-Star Weekend, which the NHL likes to hype up. Most of us go, yeah, okay.
I don't care about the All-Star Game. I care about the skills competition.
Yeah, skills competition is always good. That's always entertaining. Fastest skater, slap shot. Now, the one thing that kind of annoyed me about that when I was looking at it is that they've sold off the rights to every single one of the challenges. So I'm just going to read off a couple of these. So you've got the Gatorade NHL Skills Challenge Relay. The Honda NHL 4-Line Challenge. And the hardest shot was, I thought, one of the more entertaining ones. The Oscar Mayer NHL Hardest Shot.
Man, you must not be a fan of college football. You should see some of the
man.
College football bowls. There's like the Chick-fil-A bowl. There's the Little Caesars bowl. There's the Tostitos Nacho bowl. There's like the Sun Life bowl. Any single company you could think of, there's some sort of bowl. There's like the Tostitos Fiesta bowl.
Oh man, that crowd! It just, I don't know why, it just annoys me because it's like yeah, it's an opportunity to sell it, but it goes back to the jerseys, right? Where they're replica jerseys, they've sold the rights to a completely different manufacturer.
Right.
Like, why? It's not necessary. You don't have to try and make money on everything you do. Concentrate on growing the game, and you don't have to sell off crap like that.
But it's probably Gary Bettman.
Gary Bettman, greedy bastard. It's like, helicopters are going to drop out of nowhere, and guys in black are going to come and put tape over my mouth.
The best thing ever is that if you go to the local sports bar here in London at Players, if you go in the urinal, they have Gary Bettman's face in the urinal. So when you go pee, you're pissing on his face.
That's amazing. That is amazing. I did not know that, but that is good to know. But so the big thing this year, obviously, is that it's the NHL's 100th anniversary. So last night, they had a big to-do about who the top 100 players of all time are. And now they aren't ranked, which I thought was a good thing, because once you get into, like, the top 10...
You're going to offend everybody.
Yeah, exactly. You're going to piss off someone, because, let's be honest, most where they're actually ranked would have Wayne Gretzky as number one. And yet, yesterday, when there was a press conference with, I think we were talking about this earlier, with Gretzky, Orr, and Lemieux, they were all emphatically like, yeah,
Gordie Howe. Yeah.
Which, yeah, you know, I know he's a great player. I don't know that I would put him number one.
No. I mean,
but they do, because
maybe longevity and...
Well, that's who they looked up to, right? And that's, I think, part of why they consider him number one. They don't want to consider that they're better than him, because NHL players all have to be so humble, and it's like, which is why PK Subban is disliked, because he actually has an opinion and is a little gawky, which is why he's entertaining. But what I thought was interesting, and it was really nice to see some of the players that they brought out, because a lot of them I kind of remember from being a kid, and what Gretzky had said earlier on in the night before they started naming all these players was that winning the Stanley Cup is a really big part. So it's interesting to see some of the players they've chosen that didn't win a cup. And there weren't many, to be honest. There was very few. Honestly, I don't know did Adam Oates win one? I don't even remember. He put up a lot of points. But
I feel like he did. I feel like he did win one. I don't know if...
Maybe it was with Detroit or something.
Yeah, maybe. I feel like maybe he might have.
What?
Did he play for Colorado back in the day?
I don't know. I don't think so.
I don't think so either. But the name sounds really familiar. It's like holding the cup.
I
have to look into it.
Whatever. Anyways, sorry for wasting your time with that useless piece there. But it's interesting looking at the players that made the list that didn't win the cup. And three of the biggest names, for me, came from the 90s. And they're players that I remember growing up, and you probably do too. And big one for me, Eric Lindros.
Yep.
I was never a huge fan of him at that time just because he played for the Flyers, but someone who could have easily played in today's game.
Oh, yeah.
And you can't say that about a lot of players. Like, I don't know, honestly, that Gretzky could have played today, because I don't think he was that great a skater. He was
not very quick.
You have to be unbelievably quick, right, in today's game. And the two others were my all-time favorite players growing up as a kid. One, Matt Sundin, who obviously played for the Leafs, captain, big player during the last time that they were actually good, were in the playoffs and everything. And the fact that he got named there, now he wasn't there, which was disappointing, but at the same time, he doesn't show up for any of these events.
No.
He does not give a shit.
He didn't go to the, was it the alumni game or whatever?
Yeah, he didn't go to the alumni game, but I think that was because he just had a baby.
Yeah.
Like his wife had just given birth or something like that. So it was like, okay, I'll give you that one. But when he got honored at, like when they retired his number, I think it was, he wasn't there. He had Thomas Caberlet show up for him. They're like, and for Matt Sundin, here's Thomas Caberlet.
It could be worse. Was it Joe Namath or one of the old Super Bowl MVPs? They brought them all to like one of the past Super Bowls, and one of them didn't show up because they wouldn't pay him $1 million to show up.
Oh man, that's funny. But anyway, so Matt Sundin made it. And I was really happy to see that because he was again one of those guys that could have played in today's game. And I didn't remember this, but he was huge.
Yeah, he's a big guy.
Oh my god, I couldn't believe it. He was like 6'3" or 6'4", like 220, 230 pounds, like prototypical number one size. Like could have played in the Western Conference, and been a successful center. But the big one that was on there that I think would have been just as good then as just as good today as he was then, was Pavel Bure.
Yep, and we talked about that before. His game back then kind of replicates the fast guys, like like McDavid and all those guys now.
Honestly, I would have loved to have seen, and again, I don't think he was there last night.
I don't believe so.
Which was a little disappointing for me because I was like, come on. But he was, I think, one of the most electrifying players the NHL has ever had.
Yeah.
And so, it's damn right he should be in the top 100 of all time. Despite the fact that he never won a cup. And for some reason, I thought he played for Dallas. But when I was looking back last night, I'm like, no, he didn't.
No.
So I don't know who the hell I was thinking of, because I saw it on some Don Cherry thing way back when. But
must have been the other Pavel Bure.
It was his younger brother, Valerie. No, it wasn't actually, because he only played for Florida.
Like Rocket Richard and his younger brother, Pocket Rocket Richard. That's what their nicknames were.
Did he actually have a younger brother?
Yeah, they played together in Montreal.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And Rocket Richard, and then his younger brother, because he was the smaller younger brother, they called him Pocket Rocket.
Oh man, there's so many dirty connotations that.
But one thing I was really happy to see was Forsberg and Sakic made it.
Well, that just wasn't going to be questioned.
Oh yeah, but last night was one of the nights that you can relive the past, or you can live in the past.
And especially this year,
as a Colorado fan, it's something that thinking back on all these teams that we used to have, and the year they won the cup in '96, so it was a phenomenal team. Forsberg, Hayduk, Sakic, Blake.
Yeah, unreal.
And then, really surprising is I completely forgot about this. Is there was a year where they had Sakic, Forsberg, Blake, Foote, Paul Kariya, Teemu Selanne, and they sucked.
Hey, at least they won the year that they had Ray Bourque.
Yeah, that was another '96. Yeah, and that's still one of the greatest hockey moments ever.
Yes,
it's just seeing Sakic just hand Bourque the cup.
Yeah, didn't even lift it, just gave it right to him.
Bourque just starts crying. Yeah, I still tear up when I watch that.
Well, anyone gets emotional watching that, but it was really good to see a lot of the players that were on there. Bobby Hull, I thought, was one of the more entertaining because he just kind of gave a quick wave to the crowd and everything, and then started saying hi to everyone. He's going up the line, shaking everyone's hand, giving them hugs, stuff like that. It was really funny to see that. And then obviously Brett Hull was there as well, because just as phenomenal a player as his dad. But it was crazy seeing some of the names. I'm going, I remember. I vaguely remember. Then we got to the '90s and went, I really remember.
I was looking at the list, and when it was the early players, I was like, there's 2 or 3 names I remember, and then every category it went up was every name I knew. And then you get to the '80s, and then whatever from there, it's I know every single player.
Yeah. And honestly, I think the defense from the '90s was probably aside from maybe the '70s was better, but when you've got Joe Nieuwendyk, Chris Pronger, or not Joe Nieuwendyk, sorry, Scott Niedermayer.
Yeah, Niedermayer.
Scott Niedermayer. Pronger. You've got Scott Stevens. And they showed really quick from a different angle than we normally see him plowing through Lindros.
Well, yeah. Where
I managed to catch that.
Career, it was over.
It basically ended it, yeah. But you just look at some of these players and go, oh my God, we've been lucky to see some of these players in their prime. And
the best part about it is the majority of them are Canadian.
Yes. Well, yeah, you see the majority were, and then you saw the odd Swede and Russian and
American. Back then too, back then you were looking at 80% Canadians and then 20% the rest. Now it's more 65% Canadian and the rest is Americans, Europeans.
They're getting better. Because, you look down the road and Matt Sundin holds, I think, most goals and most points for a Leaf. You gotta think that Austin Matthews is gonna break that.
Yeah, or maybe even Mitch Marner for points.
Yeah, exactly. Someone's gonna break it. But I know what caused the most controversy was these 6 still active players who are named. Obviously, Yager was named to that.
He could have also been named to the 90s.
And the 2000s. The fact that he's still going is just
testament
unbelievable.
alone.
But I think most people were upset that Patrick Kane, Duncan Keith, and Jonathan Toews were named to it.
Well, I mean,
as opposed to Jerome McGinley or Joe Thornton.
See, Ginla I can see being in there. Now, I know no cups is a huge thing, but
yeah,
Ginla, I mean, he is one of the greatest players of this generation.
He is, but at the same time, to win 3 cups in, what was it, 6 years?
Oh, for sure.
That's an unbelievable accomplishment.
Oh, I completely agree, but a lot of times it doesn't necessarily mean that that's that single player that's the reason, right?
No, but those are 3 massive pieces.
Duncan Keith, I can see for sure. He's got, 2 Norris trophies. Yeah,
I think so, yeah.
He's definitely one of the best. Now, people say Letang could have been in there too.
Yeah, Letang could have been in there, but again, he's
injured.
He's got a couple of cups. I don't think he's been as influential as Duncan Keith.
Duncan Keith played 30 minutes a game in the playoffs.
Well, yeah, in 2015, he was playing 30 to 35 minutes a night. They won that playing with 4 defensemen.
Yeah.
They're bottom 6. Their 5th and 6th defensemen. You saw when they were on the ice. They were like, "Oh my god, get them off!" Because they were so bad.
Well, and they were so fresh though that they'd get out there for 30 seconds. They wouldn't know what to do.
Well, yeah, exactly. They'd start whiffing on passes, and you're going, "Oh my god, someone's gonna score a goal." They're gonna get a goal against with these guys out there. So I get why they were on there, because Patrick Kane. Yeah, he has never put up that many points or that many goals. Now, again, that's in this era when you're not putting up 129 points or anything like that. You're not putting up Gretzky-sized numbers.
Well, no one ever will. The thing is aside from those 3 cups, like I was saying earlier, if I could see Malkin being in there in Patrick Kane's spot. I feel like it was a toss-up because, yes, he's got the 1 extra cup that Malkin does, but Malkin's produced more in the regular season. Other than last year, Malkin was a better point producer than Kane.
Yes, but at the same time, I don't think he's been very influential for the Penguins, but I don't think as influential as Patrick Kane has been to the Hawks. And that's just because the Penguins have Sidney Crosby.
I think that the reason why there's such an uproar of these current players is because they are still current players.
Absolutely.
I feel like it should have been, it wouldn't be as big of a debate if they were all past players.
Yeah.
But because they're all still current players and there's all these current fans, it's always going to be an argument. But if it was another 10 years from now, or say, I bet you it would be, the selections would be less scrutinized than they are now.
Absolutely. And with, obviously, when you've got lists of any sort, it is to make a big talking point, which obviously it has created with us. But it's just good to rehash all of this and see all of those amazing players all in one spot. We're probably never going to see that again.
Yeah.
Especially with some of the older guys, they're going to start dying off, right? It's just, the way it goes. But anyways, tonight is the skills competition, which, as we mentioned earlier, both of us enjoy. And I think the big one I know for you is to see the fastest skater.
Well, I mean, how can you not be excited for Nathan McKinnon going up against Connor McDavid in the fastest skater?
Yeah.
It's like they did that on purpose.
Oh, no. Them do something like that on purpose? Never. But, you look at the Atlantic Division versus the Metropolitan Division for that, and you go, there probably could be some quicker players. Like, you've got Marchand versus Cam Atkinson, who is a late introduction, by the way. Marchand is actually pretty quick.
He is pretty quick, yeah.
Now that I think about it.
Maybe he'll slew foot him.
Yeah, maybe. Throw a stick in his skate. And then you've got Kucherov versus Simmons. Yeah, Kucherov is quick, but
Is Simmons really that fast?
Might be. I never watched the Flyers. Right?
Every time I see the Flyers, Simmons is always just parked in front of the net, so I never see how fast he is.
You know what? I was listening to a podcast this morning. He makes under $4 million a year right now.
Oh yeah.
People always say that JVR has one of the best team-friendly contracts ever.
Simmons' contract,
even better.
And I mean, he scores a decent amount. What, he had like 20, 25 goals last year or something like that?
He regularly has 28 or more goals.
Yeah. So it's definitely a team-friendly deal, which will probably change once the contract ends.
Probably. But then, you go on to Central Division versus Pacific Division. Obviously, we already discussed McKinnon versus McDavid. But then they've got Tarasenko versus Horvat.
Yeah, I don't know why Tarasenko would be in that. I feel like he could be more for like accuracy or something like that. He's more of a shooter to me than he is a speedster.
He is. Which is it is interesting that he probably is that fast.
I mean,
honestly,
out of all the players that they have, selection from, he's probably the fastest. So, although I was looking at the hardest shot, and Patrick Laine is in the hardest shot competition.
He does have a pretty wicked shot.
So I'm curious to see as to how hard a shot is, because
this one's funny for me. Weber versus Ovechkin for the hardest shot. It's like, okay, Ovi has a pretty wicked shot. I don't think he's going to win that one. But the interesting one for the Eastern Conference is Hedman versus Seth Jones.
Yeah, I don't know how hard Hedman's shot is.
He's a big guy.
He is a big guy.
So he probably gets
6'8" or something like that, or 6'7".
6'7", I think. He probably gets a lot of power behind it.
Well, and these new sticks, the puck's 3-4 inches behind or in front of where the stick hits, and then it snaps.
No, but you know what? They always look at how much a stick bends. They don't bend anything like the wooden ones used to.
No, like the old Titans or the old Sherwoods.
Those had unbelievable flex on them. But you get Laine versus Burns in the Western Conference.
I'm very curious to see how hard Burns' shot's going to be this year. I think he did it last year, and it wasn't overly...
Which is surprising.
Because he's a big guy.
Yeah, you'd think he would have a harder shot, but he may not use his slapper that much.
Yeah, he might just be more of like a wrister or just get it on net.
He's got like 20 goals this year.
He's like one of the top scorers.
He apparently he might be the first person to break Paul Coffey's record from the 80s of 46 goals in a season. First off, how is a defenseman scoring 46 goals in a season? Actually, that was before they had the butterfly, so that makes sense. But, you got Laine versus Burns, and then Subban versus Doughty for the hardest shot.
Subban has a pretty wicked slap shot. He's just not
net.
Accurate.
I wonder if they count if you don't hit the net.
I don't think it does. I don't think it registers.
Doughty's got a pretty good shot, though, I think. But obviously no Zdeno Chara. So
no.
Imagine that.
Or Al McInnes.
Man, if they'd taken Chara to that, they could have had Weber versus Chara for the hardest shot.
Yeah, but nobody likes Chara.
No one likes Chara, and he's not that good anymore. But obviously the other two that they brought in, because they took out the shootout this year, which I thought was, that was a little stupid, but whatever. We'll go with that. Sorry, before we get to anything else, I want to just quickly talk about the accuracy shooting. Just happened to quickly see who they paired Austin Matthews against for the accuracy shooting, and it's Crosby. What the hell?
And this is like the first time that Crosby's ever showed up to the AllStar Game.
In like 10 years, I think. It's been a long time. But you've got a rookie against Crosby. What the hell? You couldn't have found anyone else to put him against, even against Tavares. That would have been better.
Yeah, that's going to be quite interesting to see.
That's annoying. But obviously, one of the new ones that they brought in is the 4-line challenge, which is they shoot from each of the 4 lines.
And then a goalie gets an opportunity to shoot as well.
Yes, and the goalie gets to shoot. So I'm just going to quickly go through the 4 teams here. For shooter 1, they've got Kucherov, McDonough, Suter, and Pavelski. Interesting. And then shooter 2 is Carlson, Simmons, Sagan, and Burns. All right. Shooter 3, Trocheck, Hall, Subban, and Kessler. Putting Subban in there is maybe not a good plan. I don't know that he's going to be able to hit it.
Well, depending on where he shoots from.
Well, that's shooter 3, so that's the opposite
blue line?
Yeah.
I feel like he has more accuracy from there than he does.
Probably. So, yeah, it would go closest blue line, red line, forest blue line, and then the red line.
Yeah.
The end line down at the back there, and then. Yeah, I thought the goalies were going to get a chance to shoot.
I think it said that they have a chance if they want.
They can substitute the fourth shooter with a goalie.
Yeah, and I think they get more points if a goalie does the shot. That's what I was reading.
Yeah, they get awarded 20 points or something.
So they should get Carey Price to do that because
Carey Price would be good with doing that. But, that'll be an interesting one to see because, the shootout, it's disappointing to see them take that out. Even though it's the one place where it's actually good to see it.
Yeah, but I mean, at the same time, the goalies didn't really try, right?
Well, and this was something I heard, a theory that they should have done is have, just average Joe goalies come in and just see them, really try to stop, Alex Ovechkin or something.
I love
like
last
that.
year, Carey Price went backwards and he tried to use the cell phone camera to, make a save.
Yeah. Imagine if he'd injured himself doing that, though.
Yeah.
Oh, man, that would have been bad. But this year, they replaced it with something totally different. They replaced it with, I'm just getting down to here, the Discover NHL Shootout, which has, I think it's, just average, just celebrities.
Is that the celebrities?
Yeah.
What are some of the big name celebrities, does it say?
Oh, sorry. No, what the hell? No, they thought they took that out. I don't know. It's saying that it's still there, but I don't think it is. So we do have the celebrity shootout, which I don't even know who's going to be there, to be honest.
For some reason, I think someone said that Kevin Hart was going to be there.
That would be really funny to see Kevin Hart there. But it was interesting seeing some of the stars last night. I didn't know that Keanu Reeves was such a big hockey fan.
Well, I mean, he is Canadian.
Oh, yeah, he is, isn't he? I always forget that.
He's he's British, American, Canadian citizenship.
I didn't know you could have that many citizenships.
Apparently you can when you're John Wick.
So it'll be interesting to see all of that, with the new setup, and hopefully, it goes off without a hitch and can be maybe as entertaining as
sometimes when there is little
past.
Fuck ups, that's when it's fun to watch, right?
Well, that's true. That is true. And you know what? As long as the players are having fun, that's the main thing. And I think we'll quickly touch on the All-Star Game before we finish for the week here. But the All-Star Game, I was really happy last year when it went to the new format. Instead of full teams, they've got 3-on-3. Because 3-on-3 is always entertaining. That's something that I know we've both talked about how much we love during the regular season. Obviously, it's not going to be as intense because these guys are just going to be like, oh, whatever.
It's, no defense, really.
No, well, I don't think there's much defense anyway, so there's no requirement to make it look like you're trying to play defense.
Right.
So it'll be good to see, and just I'm gonna pull up the rosters here because I'm excited to see Austin Matthews. Obviously, for me, will be really fun to see play with. And if you get Erik Karlsson and Austin Matthews and Brad Marchand on the ice together, that will be unreal.
Yeah,
that'll be a really cool. Or even Nikita Kucherov, that'll be a really cool lineup for them. Obviously, with Carey Price and Tuukka Rask behind them for the Atlantic, I think they're going to do okay. But obviously, you get the Metropolitan Division where it doesn't even matter who the defensemen are, but you get Sidney Crosby and Taylor Hall.
And Ovechkin?
No, man. If you put the three of them on the ice together, just no defensemen. That would be amazing, actually. Oh, no, because if Getty Malkin's going to...
He's missing
so
it
that's who Cam Atkinson replaced. But yeah, imagine if Gino actually went. Man, that would be unreal. As usual. But then you got the Central, who honestly I think will be the most entertaining. Now I know Jonathan Toews was like, I don't even know why I'm here because there's other guys that have played better. But they gotta have a center, I guess, because otherwise they would only have two centers. Which would probably be enough.
You get PK Subban with Laine and McKinnon out there. They're just flying all over the ice.
Or Duncan Keith with Patrick Kane and, Tarasenko.
Yeah.
You wouldn't even need anyone else. Actually.
Or Duncan Keith, Patrick Kane, and Jonathan Toews.
I feel like that may be a lineup tomorrow. But then Corey Crawford and Devin Dubnyk as their goalies. Two of the best goalies in the league. And Devin Dubnyk, especially, he's better than Carey Price this year.
His numbers. Mind you, he's also had a better team in front of him this year.
That's true. They are more defensively sound. I will say that.
He's
got like a 930 plus save percentage for the season.
And I was watching something about there's a few guys in Minnesota who are having like standout years. It's going to make their expansion.
Oh yeah,
they are going to lose.
They are going to lose a couple of defensemen for that. That's for sure. Because their forwards wise, I don't think they're going to miss too many players, but it's on their back end where they're going to be a little screwed. And obviously they have to protect Dubnyk because otherwise he's gone.
Yeah.
But anyways, to finish it off with the Pacific Division, you've got obviously Connor McDavid as the captain. It's like, well, whatever. You know, you've got Jeff Carter and Joe Pavelski there, but let's have McDavid as the captain.
I think it was a matter of votes.
That's true. That's true. But can you imagine, though, just because it's going to be actually really entertaining to see Brent Burns, Connor McDavid, and Johnny Gaudreau on the ice together. That much of a blend of speed and skill, I think, will be unstoppable.
You could have pretty much with the lineups for every team. You could have one lineup that sounds amazing, but there's another team's lineup that's just going to counter it. Yeah,
well, exactly, and that's what's going to be, I think, the most interesting to see tomorrow is how they do it. I hope that they stick with the 3-on-3 format because I think it's going to be their most entertaining. Now, I remember way back in I think the 90s or whatever when they were doing World versus North America.
Yeah,
and North America was always unbelievable and off the charts good. And then Worldy had them getting in like some third or fourth liners just to flesh out the team a little bit. So it seems to be that every team is going to be as competitive.
You know what's going to be weird to see if it happens? It's Crosby playing with Ovechkin.
That would be weird. But I think to a certain extent they've kind of gotten past their...
Oh yeah, but I mean... It's never had the opportunity because Crosby just never showed up, right? Crosby would always take the suspension or whatever. And never come to the AllStar game.
Well, I think it was only recently they started suspending players.
But
for injury.
So it's like, I don't know, it's going to be... Because I feel like with Crosby's vision and his hands, he could set up Ovechkin for his one-timer all day.
Oh, easily. Easily. But you know what? I think part of it now is that Crosby might be a little more relaxed because he won his second cup.
Yeah. He solidified himself.
Exactly. He's gotten to the summit, and I don't think he's going to just relax, but maybe take it a little bit easier. Kind of like Jonathan Toews, right? Who was always renowned for being 100% tunnel vision. Exactly. And just always very serious about hockey, never really having any fun. And now apparently, from what I read, he's starting to lighten up a little bit and kind of expand his horizons. Now, I suppose that can happen when you've won 3 cups.
Well, I mean, if you look at Crosby too, though, last year he was, they fired the coach. He was on a shitty scoring streak, right? So he was in a slump, and he probably didn't really care too much about the AllStar game. He was focusing on getting his career back on track because he didn't play well at the beginning of the year last year.
I think he's gotten it back on track.
Yes,
I think he's doing okay now. But you know what? I think that's our show for this week. You can follow us on Twitter at TalkingPuckP, and you can subscribe to us on YouTube, iTunes, and Google Play. And thanks so much for listening. We hope you enjoyed the show. See you next week. Goodbye.